I think it's the human elements in all of us that causes us want to fly off the script.
If everybody's doing whatever we want to do, however we want to do it, then we can't do something greater.
The human nature, and we all got it where, okay, God give us a play, but we want to run a different play. I'm going to do it my way, not your way. Then we expect, though, to have a reward from that. So we just want to talk about just run the play.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Today for Tomorrow podcast. We are back with the crew.
Yes.
Welcome back, Mike.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
How you doing?
Good. I'm feeling great. How y'all feeling?
Feeling good. Yeah. We missed you, Mike. We missed you a couple episodes. We told you to take care of business, so, you know, they understood, but he back in the saddle. Yeah, so, hey, look, it was a topic that Martell and I was talking about. We said, look, we can't have the conversation unless Mike's in the room. So, you know, we were talking about how, you know, God give us direction. You know, we're going through a time of fasting right now and prayer, and you're trying to listen to God to direct us and tell us what we need to do. Mm-hmm. But man, you know, the human nature, and we all got it where, okay, God give us a play, but we want to run a different play. We want to call an audible and be like, Lord, I think I'm going to go over here and do this. And I'm going to do it my way, not your way. Then we expect, though, to have a reward from that. So we just want to talk about, you know, just run the play. What the value in just running the play?
One thing that I think is interesting about just that phrase right there is there's this community in Atlanta who's really made that popular, like run the play. And what the context that they use it in is essentially in business, like you know what processes need to be in place. You know what to do, what in terms of action items that need to be done to get the result. And so when it comes to a certain building of a certain type of business or doing something business-wise, they say, look, just run the play. Just run the play. Here, and they do a lot of coaching over there too. So they're like, look, I'm giving you the play to run. So just run this play. And so like, same context here. It's like God done outlined what we need to do, how we need to do it, what kind of life you should be living, how to do this, and that. And it's like, when you vary from it, you get a different result. Mm-hmm. And when you also, too, you got to think of like, what is it inside of us that makes us want to kind of jump off of it so much? Because there's a lot. There's a lot about us that makes us want to just say, oh, well, you know, okay, so I've ran this play a few times. It worked good. But, you know, let me try this time. You know?
I think it's the human elements in all of us that causes us want to fly off the script, right? And I was thinking about the verse where I think it was Peter walking on water. When he kept his eyes focused on Jesus, he's fine. As soon as he takes his eyes off focus of Jesus and he doing his thing, now he's starting to sink and drown. And so in life, I think we have those tendencies because that's a part of our makeup. And it's not always a bad thing. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, you know, going through this experimental phase, you figure out other strengths. Mm-hmm. But another time is, you know, when we have a completely outlined blueprint like the Bible, we see the plays clear as day. The team is supposed to be on the same playbook. What happens is if one person starts doing their own thing, it throws off the rhythm of the whole bigger picture that sometimes a lot of times we can't see because we're not supposed to see it. We're humans. If we knew everything that was going to happen, why would we need faith? Exactly.
No, I think you both laying it out in that point. You said it like the Bible is a playbook, right? And I mean, you two played football, organized football. And what you had to do, you had to learn the playbook. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you played with individuals who were good players, but they probably wasn't in their playbook.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they kind of made up for it with their athleticism, but they disrupted the flow of what was supposed to happen. Even though the outcome might have been good. I think that's the trap, right? So sometimes the outcome is a good outcome and you did what you want to do and you think, oh, I could do what I want to do all the time. Now I don't need the playbook. You know.
You said the key word though, it's a trap. And what happens is, going back to our oldie but goodie, when we take our eyes off the process and we start looking at the scoreboard.
Wait, we hadn't heard the process in a while.
Ding, process.
It's a trap every time because we like, we start admiring ourselves. Man, we doing good. I did this, me, I. But what happens is it's a trap because most of the time it's not a repeatable strategy. Mm-hmm. It might be an outlier. It might be a freak occurrence, But then when you try to repeat it and it doesn't work, now you get discouraged and you're like, man, I don't understand. But the thing was, you never really understood how you got there in the first place.
That's the value of having a process because processes go inside of systems. And it's like when you can't actually quantify how something is done. Like if you can't blueprint, this happens after this, this happens after this, this happens after this, and you can't repeat it, you can't expect to get the same result. You just can't. And so it's like if everybody's doing whatever we want to do, however we want to do it, then we can't do something greater because we can't actually repeat a process to get a similar result. I can't, look, if I'm gonna do this thing and super freestyle it, and I don't know how I can't relay the same information to you for you to get the same result, then I'm the only one who's gonna get it.
Yeah.
Now, the download that I just got about this whole football situation is essentially when you're new to the game, when you're new to life, when you're new to any sort of field, or if you're new to business, it's like you start off pretty much, you essentially sometimes you're on the team, okay? Now you need to go to the playbook because you're not familiar with it. You need to review the film, go look at past games, look at the history of that team that you're about to go against, go through all of that, and then follow the play as it is written because the coach is gonna give you the play. Okay, this is what works, and we know this based on data, not feelings and emotions, but this is based on data. This is how this play is drawn up, and it's supposed to work if you just do what you're supposed to do in it. Now, if I'm a receiver and I decide, well, I'm supposed to take 3 steps forward, cut right into the middle of the field because homeboy's supposed to cut around, I'm supposed to be open in the middle of the field, but I say, today, today I feel like going left. Now you done messed up the play. Yeah. Quarterback is looking for you in the middle of the field. You are not there because you over there doing your own thing. Yeah. This is all chaos if everybody does that thing. Mm-hmm. The second thing to it is like, look, okay, you're a player on the field. You've mastered the game. Now you've figured out how your plays are supposed to function. Then you can maybe move to a position where you have the mind of a quarterback to where, okay, the coach gives me the play, but I know how all the pieces work on the field. Therefore, I can say hike, and I say, okay, I know this person is supposed to be here about this point in time, and if he's not there because this thing might happen, okay, now I can actually adapt. I can actually adapt because I've seen the plays run so many times, and I've kind of mastered the playbook. Now you're a quarterback. And then you get to a point where maybe you can become the coach. Now you ain't never gone, God is in the position of I created the rules of the game. I have the fundamentals. This is the way that this is gonna be played, and you're not gonna get around this. But maybe you're at a position where you can lead the entire team. You can put coaches in, you can put quarterbacks in place. You can get a first string, second string, third string, and you can call the plays because you know how everybody is supposed to function on the field. And you can be on the sideline because you've been a good coach where you've built them up to be able to function without you.
Man, whether it be business or anything else, but I think staying with the Bible as our baseline, you just laid it out. Really, we talk about knowing the playbook, knowing it inside, until your point about doing the study. You was a middle linebacker, so you had to study the team you was about to play. So the more you knew about the defenses you called, and you laid it out, and the more you knew about what you was going up against, you knew where the vulnerable points are, right? Yeah. And you knew how to attack. But then what you brought up is the whole how you improvise. Mm-hmm. And how you can improvise. And you can't improvise until you have a full understanding where everybody's going to be, because you improvising cannot throw off the rest of the play. Your improvising need to be in the flow of what's supposed to be happening.
So we just had a scenario when we were with the young men mentoring, and we went to go see them play a basketball tournament over the holidays. And we were giving them feedback on what we saw. First thing we told them was, look, we proud of y'all for the effort y'all gave. But then we kind of segued into the areas of improvement. And the biggest thing that we saw was, we're like, hey man, the communication piece was big where, you know, you got guys all in one area, the other areas exposed. And the reason why this is a huge point in any team, not just basketball, football, any organization in life, is because when one person goes off the playbook, the script for everybody, it interferes with the other players that are on the field. You know what I'm saying? And it's not just if I can do something or how does this boost me up? It's like, no, how does this affect the broader team? And that's the bigger thing where that's the biggest concern when we veer off the script.
The natural tendency is for us to do our own thing. And, you know, and I think, let's talk about that. Why is it so easy or such I guess, what pushes us to do that? And why should we not do it? You know what I mean? I think we need to talk about that too, because we're talking about it from, hey, why you follow the playbook, but what's caused us to get off script?
I think sometimes success can cause you to almost build up a certain pride in your ability. But, and then you sometimes forget about why you were successful. Perfect example. I've got a sales script, and when I follow it all the way through, I got a 37% conversion rate on this particular script. And so, you know, after you've done 20 calls, and then you're like, okay, cool, this is going, I know some things, you know what I mean? I'm good at this, you know? Then you start to freestyle a little bit more. It's like, you know what, I don't need to say this part the same way because, you know, I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm trying to do here. And then you start realizing, and you have to track your data to actually even have, you know, information on this. But once I'm going, I'm like, okay, wait, this didn't work, that didn't work, that didn't work. Oh, what changed is me. I wasn't following the script no more. I started freestyling. You know, you listen back to your calls, you look back at the data and you're like, oh, wait a minute. The difference between this phase in time where everything was great and this phase in time where it's not going so well is I decided that because I had gotten so many wins on this side that I can now just do whatever I want. But wait a minute, those wins didn't come from my freestyling. It came from me following the play.
Yeah. Going back to your question on what causes us to get off the script, another thing I think is timing a lot of times. You know, we feel like we want to reach our goal on our timeline. And sometimes we try to skip steps like you were describing in that process. And it's funny because I was thinking about a proverb that was shared at the Faithful Financiers with Rob. It was, I think it was 1311. But it's wealth that's gained hastily soon dwindles. And it's basically like, listen, man, what's for you is gonna find you. You don't have to try to rush the process, or you don't have to, you know, because you're looking at social media, oh, they got this, or they got a Ferrari. Man, I'm behind schedule. You know, and when you start feeling like that, now you're going outside of your process. You're looking at the scoreboard, everybody else's scoreboard, and you're like, all right, I got to do some stuff. So because I have to do some things, let me skip a few steps. Let me skip to the finish line. And that's when a lot of us end up getting tripped up. But what I like what you said, and what you did was you analyzed the situation, and then you made a pivot to correct it. Said, let me go back to what I know is the right thing. Let me stop the bleeding. Don't just keep plowing through. Let me stop. Press pause, go back to what's proven, and then let's do this thing the right way. And that's the biggest thing I would encourage anybody to do is nobody's gonna be perfect. We all fall victim to it in our lives at some point, sometimes multiple times. You know, we wanna veer off script, but when you find yourself in this, in that momentum where you're just going, press pause sometimes, and then just go back to what's proven.
Yeah, no, and you're right on point on that. It's and I'm glad you brought it up, Mike, because how often, that's one of the mistakes, I think, opportunities, since I won't call it a mistake, to reflect, to look in the mirror, to analyze and say, okay, what did I do in this situation? And did I, you know, what was I following the right guidelines? You know, and when people look at this like, man, life is it's not that formal, you know, and all that. But in reality, it is. But, you know, when we make mistakes, a lot of times we don't go look in the mirror hard enough to find out why we made the mistake. Like we was talking to a young man today and talking about the game. The first thing they're saying, oh, the refs, this, that, it was everything else. Yeah. You know, we didn't get, I mean, it was excuses versus like, hey, you know, what can I do? What did I do to make this happen? Or what can I do to make it better? Not that you're gonna solve it yourself, but we can always improve on how we're running the play.
I don't want to offend nobody, but it's like, no, like the people who really make things happen in life are the people who take like massive responsibility. Like I don't blame my mom, dad, sister, brother, teacher, economy, coach, friend, pastor. I don't blame nobody for my situation in life. Because here's the thing, as soon as I do, and I know this is a slight sidebar, but as soon as I do, it is out of my control. If I blame the pastor for my relationship to God, now you're the problem. Yeah. And now I can't do anything about it. It's not about I should be reading the Bible more. I should be praying to God more. I should be spending more time in worship. No. It's the pastor's fault. Mm-hmm. He didn't teach me. He ain't doing something right. It's him. It's him and they ain't running this place right. Yep. Every time you go ahead and say that, you pointing the finger at somebody, now you just said, okay, now there's nothing that I can do to make this situation better. Finances, people always want to blame the economy, the president. If you're in the United States, you have such an advantage and such an opportunity right here that it's like every time you say that, it sounds crazy. Yeah. Because it's like the things that you complaining about, there's somebody else who just decided that they was going to take responsibility and figure it out. Mm-hmm. Why not do that? You know?
No, I agree. Extreme accountability is really an ultimate separator of, you know, winners versus losers, good versus great. Like anything that you achieve in life, if you look at the top in that category, it's usually going to be people that take extreme accountability. And it really is another lane of freedom also. Mm-hmm. Because it, like you said, it puts all the balls back in your court other than what we know God has control. We don't control the result. That's another thing. Mm-hmm. We control our action and we have faith that the appropriate result is going to happen. And when it happens, we're going to make another appropriate action. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? It's almost like a ping pong game between us as humans and God having that ultimate control. Yeah. And as long as we focus on taking our steps, we got to trust that God is leading us in the right direction, even if it's off our human script. And we're like, how did we end up here? Mm-hmm. We might end up in a total different location. Yeah. And we might meet somebody that needed a good word. They might have been on the verge of committing suicide. Yeah. And by you saying, hey, how you doing, brother? You know, oh man, you know, I like them shoes. You know, that you might have gave them a little bit of inspiration to keep going. Yeah,
just from the word. And you're right on point there. Because sometimes we'll do the right thing. We'll run the right play. We'll do what God called us to do. We'll do what the coach told us to do. And to your point, Mike, the result is not the result we expected. Mm-hmm. We don't get the win. You know what I'm saying? Or we might, you know, go on a losing streak. Who knows? It just don't seem like it's working. Yeah. But the other point you made, and I think this being made here too, is that with God, you know, you think it's a loss, but by you falling to play, it's always a win. You might not have that, you might not see it. To your point, like you might say something to somebody, it could be somebody on the other team that you influence some kind of way. And they're like, man, you know, y'all disciplined, man, or y'all this, or you this, you know, or when you point into somebody, like talking to the young man, you know, you might just say one thing to them and they take that and they go, they make it, oh, I remember when you said so-and-so. And we see it when we mentor, and sometimes they come back with stuff and you're like, they were listening. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
We're talking about running the play here. The crazy thing is like, well, one, he mentioned the scripture we just talked about.
Yeah, no, I know. When this came up, that was the one when in your absence,
Proverb.
that was we built the podcast
On
around
the virtual
Oh,
episode,
okay.
it literally
That
was
proverb.
about that. There's
So you was connected, didn't even know it. Go ahead.
wealth gotten by vanity shall be diminished, but he that gathereth by labor shall increase. That was the words. But so like, again, going back to this whole like taking like massive responsibility for the situation, we've talked about here running the play. We've talked about understanding the playbook that you're running from, or running the play from, but also being able to analyze the data so that you know, okay, this is what's been proven. This has not been proven, so it has to be tested. But also putting all these things together, when I have a play to run, like let's say that it has not been proven. Now there's a process of, okay, I have to get enough reps in this thing to actually prove it out. Not all the time is it gonna be the amazing result that you're looking for. But if you go through the iterations of it, you can say, if you have the data, you can go ahead and say, okay, now, because I know that this part of it actually worked, this part of it not so much, this part of it, okay, this went well. What we can do on this next iteration of times of running this play, what we'll do is we'll change this part and then look at the data from a significant data set here again. And now you've got a proven process. Now you have a play that you can run. And now you have a play that you can hand to somebody else.
You got a repeatable strategy,
Yeah.
you know, versus us just winging it and see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a big reason why I end up pursuing real estate, because it satisfied a few things. For one, the main thing, it's a proven commodity. It's timeless since the age old. And the other part is literally one of Maslow's hierarchy of need. It's a core need. We all need shelter.
Somewhere to live, yeah.
We need somewhere to live. So I figured if I can study this enough and figure out how I can fit into this proven system, I can be successful.
Yeah.
Versus me having to create something the world has never seen before. Yeah. Which is doable, but it's a little different than inserting yourself into a cog of a machine that's already been running. Yeah. It's been running since the beginning of time. It's proven through and through. And so I really wanted to highlight that for anyone, because I get, you know, we probably all get asked like, you know, what should I get into? What career should I pursue? Or where should I invest? It's like, listen, we can't answer those questions specifically because you have to follow where your heart is. But the number one advice I would say is look at what's already been proven and, you know, for a great amount of time. We're not talking about 10 years, 20 years. I'm talking about hundreds of years. This has been an entity that's been working, and figure out if it's something that combines your passion and you can make money in and make it work.
If we're talking about running the play, I would say, well, one thing that I want to also come back to, like on what you just said, is like, it's just so important. Like, just don't think that what we said about responsibility, taking responsibility, is separate from this conversation. It's a part of it. Because you being able to run the play means that there are things in your control. You can't run the play if you believe that this particular part of it is somebody else's responsibility or it's their fault that you can't do this. You have a play. You can run it. If you read it in the Bible and God said it's yours, then everything that's involved in that he told you to do, just know that you have the full power and capability of executing on it. That's the fact. But wrapping this whole thing up, running the play. This episode was about running the play. If you are at a situation in life where you're trying to figure out, you just have not seen success in this particular area, you've been trying over and over again, reanalyze what play you're actually running. Is it based on fundamentals? Are there sound principles inside of that play? And actually, have you ran it enough times to know and you recorded it, enough times to know what parts can be adjusted so that you can get a better outcome with it? God already laid it out for you. It's the playbook. It's the cheat code to this whole life thing. Run his play and you won't fail.
Every time.
There it is.
There it is. Mic drop, huh?
Housekeeping items. Mike?
Yes, sir. Come check us out on Instagram, Detroit Investor _WCI. doing a good job of just showing the world what we do day to day. Real estate, fatherhood, podcast clips, all types of stuff. Come check it out.
All right. Hey, come see us on the second Saturday of the month at Men 2.0. Martell's repping it right now. Second Saturday of the month, we're talking about fatherhood, this series. So, hey, come see what it's about. It's brothers coming together. Mike don't have a shirt on today, but hey, iron sharpens iron. That's definitely what we do in those segments. And on Sundays, we have service, Freedom of Christ Ministry here. The Freedom of Christ Ministry at 11:30 a.m., 28202 Franklin Road.
Yes, sir. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Today for Tomorrow podcast. Subscribe to the channel, like this episode, send it to your friends, send it to your family, send it to that person who you're thinking about doing that business with. Understand the right place to run them joints, but also make sure that you're notified of the next episode. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.